Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome to Divine Allegiance. I'm your host Maulana Baig. Well, it is the month of Shaban and we are excited because the 15th Shaban is approaching, and I am excited particularly because this is going to be somewhat of a unique 15th Shaban where everyone is at home. I don't know about you, but I'm used to being in the masjid surrounded by a lot of people. And on this night, to celebrate the birthday of the Imam, it used to be like a social occasion where every one of us is together and we all celebrate the birth of the Imam, jubilantly celebrating it in the best form possible. And alhamdulillah, this year it's strange. It's going to be strange that we will be in our homes and we will be alone and we will be praying for each other. I think this social distancing is going to lead us and bring us out into a better forum and a better way to be together. And I think it's really good that, the way that people really want to get together and do things that they love doing and they want to do it more. So it's great. And I think, that it's going to be unique and it's going to be different. We'll have a chance to be alone with our Imam and wish him and the Prophet the best on this 15th Shaban. It's coming up soon, and we pray for all of you. We were talking about the conditions of the advent and appearance of the Imam. Yes, that's what we are talking about. And in that regard, we spoke about the Ummat, the nation being ready. One of the issues about the return of the Imam is that the nation, the followers have to be ready, especially the Shia. They have to be ready to accept the Imam. So their preparation is number one. That's the main condition for the reappearance of the Imam. I'm going to go into some other conditions right now. But the reason we're discussing this is because end times that has been described in Hadith are very severe and intense and harsh times for believers. The testing and the trials that believers will go through in end times will be difficult, to say the least. They will be severe, and many people are going to get knocked down. There's a hadith from Imam Sadiq that says, make your iman stronger before the end times come, because when the end times occur, the trials will be so severe that people's faith is going to start to break. And so when we look at these situations that we're going through in preparation of the Imam, we need to really look at this as end times. Because one of the issues regarding the severity of the tests and the trials of end times is the first and foremost trial before all other trials is to know whether we are in end times or not. See, that's the first question. Because if you think we are not in end times, then you don't look at it as severe, you don't look at it as bad, and hence you start to slip if it is. Because you will see that two types of people are going to be damaged and harmed in regards to end times. Those people who hasten towards it, meaning that those who are making haste and they think that it's end times and they do the things and they step forward and accelerate without it being the end times. So what happens is that they hurt themselves and others around them. And then those people who postpone it and delay it, even when they come, even when the end times are here. So all in all, one of the tests of end times is actually to know that we're living in end times, that these are the end times. And a lot of people, because of this reason, make wrong ideas come about. They truly, in terms of Islam, really the practice of Islam and what you do at a certain time, when it is related to the Imam of the time, it's like, what do I do at this time? We need to prioritize. And prioritizing has a lot to do with knowing what times you're living in. If you don't know the situation or the circumstances that you're living in, then you won't know how to prioritize what's more important, what's less important. And the preparation for the Imam and getting ready for the Imam demands that we need to know the times that we're living in, and according to that time and circumstance and situation, we take the steps. And if we do not recognize the time that we're in, you will see that we will take the wrong steps. We will do the wrong things. And it does happen that way because the approach and the methodology and what we need to do at a certain time and certain changes according to the times that we're living in and circumstances that we're in. Especially the approach and what we do in terms of society, in terms of our responsibilities towards society and others. They have a lot to do with the times that we're living in and situations. So knowing the situation is very important in identifying our responsibility and our duties. So when we look at the advent of the Imam in relationship to end times, we see that our obligations change. For example, I'll give an example just to know how things change like that. One of the principles of Islam is that Muslims and mu'mineen should have husn dhan for each other. They should have husn dhan for each other. Husn dhan means benefit of doubt. They should always give mu'mineen the benefit of doubt. For example, if I see someone going to a bar, I don't assume that he's doing something haram. I say maybe he needs some change. So I give him the benefit of doubt. If I see someone, for example, holding a drink in their hand that looks like beer or whiskey, I don't assume that this is haram. I think that it's apple juice. I give him the benefit of doubt. This is called husn dhan. It's a principle of akhlaq, etiquette. Islamic etiquettes really require you to do husn dhan for a believer. It is said that a moment should give another moment 70 excuses. 70 excuses about when he sees something that he's doing wrong. For example, give him 70 excuses that it's not wrong. Maybe there's a reason behind it, whatever it is. I don't know. 70 excuses. And when those 70 excuses run out, then give him another 70 excuses. So, in other words, you get the point. The point is that you give the benefit of doubt to believers, to mu'mineen. This is the principle of Islam. Now, does this principle apply to everyone in every circumstance and every situation? No, it doesn't. This, in regular times, in normal times, this is true, and it should be applied in situations wherever you can find yourself, in whatever situation you find yourself in. But when you come to a situation or a circumstance where there is dhulm, where there is oppression, and there is a government of oppression, and in a situation like that where you live under tyrannical rule, then this principle doesn't apply anymore. Now, you don't just do husn dhan, you actually do su'u dhan, the opposite of that. You don't give anyone the benefit of doubt. In other words, you behave with others that they are guilty until proven innocent. That you say, okay, you know what, you're guilty until you prove yourself to be innocent, until you prove your character. Why? Because we are living in a tyrannical rule in the time of dhulm, and hence I need to protect my deen and myself, so I want to be careful about who I am dealing with, because the government, the society does not offer me the protection of helping me and protecting me from dhulm or from wrongdoing. So I need to protect my own self. The principle changes. The logic changes. So you see, one principle of Islam regularly would be applied, but then when circumstances change, that principle is not applied. Then doing husnul dhan or benefit of doubt, that principle brings about harm to believers and especially to the imams. It has happened in history. There are examples of it, but I don't want to go into it. I just want to explain to you that when you recognize the times you're living in, you will be able to identify your responsibilities better. You will be able to prioritize your life better. And this is what's necessary when the imam is going to come back. We need to recognize that before the time of dhuhr and the reappearance of the imam, these times are known as end times. Whether it is or not is not the question right now. It's not a debate. We are just saying that, listen, we always need to just give more importance to the fact that it is, so that we can guard ourselves and protect ourselves and our deen and become smarter. So in that regard, that's what I'm trying to just give us an idea of our obligation and responsibilities in reappearance of the imam, the conditions. Not the signs, but the conditions. What is necessary as a condition for the reappearance of the imam? One, we said, the establishment of the ummah. The second condition is the marifat of the imam. To know the imam himself. It has to do with the imam. How well do we know the imam? Now, by knowing the imam, I'm not saying Sunday school knowledge. People think that by having Sunday school and by giving a test and a quiz and a trivia and all these things, we know the imam. And by that I mean, for example, what day he's born, what's his birth date, what's his what day did he die, where did he die, where was he born, his father's name, mother's name. This is not marifat. These are just facts. These are facts. These have nothing to do with knowing the imam in the sense of being with him, of truly being a companion of the imam, of standing up with him, or knowing how to stand up with him. This has nothing to do with that, because if nothing else, but the fact that history has shown us that. If you look at the people who were with Imam Hussein at the time he was killed in Ashura, you will see that a lot of the people who joined were people who did not know Imam Hussein, but they died with him. They gave their lives for him. And the people who knew him and who knew about him and who came with him all the way from Medina and Mecca, they all ran away. So really, knowing the birth and the father and the mother and the relatives and all of these things of the imam is not marifat. It is not marifat. Really, do not be fooled into that. Imams and the marifat of the imams is completely different. And it has to do with knowing what the imam stands for, what he believes in, what his vision is, what he sees and looks at when he does things, what motivates him, what is it that makes him like something or hate something, what kind of person is he in terms of himself, in terms of him in relationship with Allah and in him in relationship with Allah's creation. All of these things, knowing this is really important. And then the reason, and knowing this is great. We know about the Prophet's history. We know about Imam Ali's and Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein's history, which is a good thing. But knowing their history does help in knowing the 12th Imam, but not all the way, my friends. And here's where the point is. The reason knowing the 12th Imam and recognizing him is so difficult is because of the fact that the 12th Imam in some aspects is going to be different than the rest of the Masumeen, the rest of the infallibles. In other words, Imam Mehdi is different in some aspects than Imam Ali, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein, all the Imams. And because we are used to the Imams and Imam Ali and Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, we are used to them. If we think that the Imam will be like that, then the problem that will happen is that we tend to be rejecting the 12th Imam. And this is exactly what's in Hadith. There will be people, believers and Shias, who will refuse to accept the 12th Imam because they did not expect him to be like this. They didn't expect that. They weren't waiting for an Imam like that. So my friends, the first example, I will give you one example right now so that you understand in what way is the Imam, for example, different and what makes recognizing him more difficult. First example I'll give you, and this will be, enough for us to know, and there are many other things that we can look at. But just one example. One of the things that Imam Zamana will be that the other Imams were not, and people will not be expecting that because they think that he will be like all the other Imams, is that Imam Zaman and Imam Mehdi is going to be a ruler, a powerful, dominant ruler. He is not going to be Muslim and oppressed. He will not be a victim. He will not be a victim of oppression. He will not be a victim of injustice. Are we ready to accept an Imam who's going to be a ruler and who's not going to be Muslim? Think about it. We are used to knowing the Imams as Muslim, as oppressed, as victims of injustice. Look at the wrong that they have to go through. Look at how sad their situation was. Being left alone, being ignored, being rejected in the society, being scorned, being hurt, being martyred. All of these things. You look at them, the Imams have been like that, and it's true. It's true that they're like this. But the fact is that Imam Mehdi is not going to be like that. He is going to be a ruler, the emperor. He's going to be the king. Everyone will be subjugated to him. Of course he'll be compassionate. Of course he'll be adil. Of course he'll be just. But he will be king. He will be the ruler. He will be the emperor. He will rule the world. And everyone is going to bow down before his power. Then everyone will know it. So really, are we expecting an Imam like that? In Hadith it says that people and Shias are going to reject the Imam and say he's not the son of Rasulullah because he's not Muslim. They are used to having a Muslim Imam. Think about it. When you think of the Imams, when you think of Masumeen, don't you think about Mazlumiyat, about the fact that they are oppressed? And that's the image that you have of the Imam. It is true. And that's why it's so difficult right now. We need to change that perception that now it's not going to be the same. It's going to be different. What, you say that not all the Imams are Muslim? Well, all right, we have someone who says that Imam Ali is not Muslim, huh? That's what he's saying. Are you saying that? Yeah. So we have someone who says that Imam Ali was not Muslim because he was also the ruler of the Muslims. Very good. Let me take you there and show you the example of Imam Ali. Very good. Let's see his example. It's a good example you brought up of Imam Ali. He was regarded as the ruler of the Muslims for a period of 4 years. He was the ruler of the Muslims. But when he Imam Ali used to distribute the wealth, the Baitul Mal, the public treasury. Imam Ali himself used to distribute it, for which he was criticized by his own relatives. His brother was criticized for that. People didn't like that fact that Imam Ali himself was distributing Baitul Mal. They had a problem with that. They didn't say, a lot of people didn't say anything, they kept quiet. Can you imagine that? Imam Ali was distributing Baitul Mal himself. Now, which ruler would do that? The treasury is there, they will distribute it. But you read the hadith, you heard it from ulama and all the time that Imam Ali himself used to distribute all the wealth until the Baitul Mal is cleaned up and everything has been distributed, and then he would go home. Then he would go home, knowing that everything has been given out. And even his own people close to him criticized him for that and said that you shouldn't be doing this. Right? So you're saying that Imam Ali had authority. Imam Ali had power. Imam Ali was the ruler. Okay, let's see this, right? This same Imam Ali, after he closed down the treasury, gave away all the wealth, distributed all the wealth, was going by the masjid. And in the masjid, he saw the Muslims in the month of Ramadan. He saw the Muslims doing a mustahab prayers in Jama'at, the Taraweeh prayers. In Ramadan, you see Sunni Muslims get together and do the Taraweeh prayers. It's not a new habit, it was going on for a long time. Imam Ali saw that. He says, what are you doing? He said, we're doing our mustahab prayers, the Taraweeh prayers. He said, Rasulullah did not authenticate this. This is a bid'at. Don't do this. You know what the people said? The people said, Ali, we kept quiet when you distributed the Baitul Mal and public treasury to the people, and we didn't say anything, right? If you try to stop us from doing this, then we are not going to remain quiet. You're going to hear from us. And they stood up in protest. You can't take this away from us. Muhammad Ali says, all right, whatever. He didn't fight it. You think Imam Ali had the power at that moment? Friends, really, it is, when you look at it, Imam Ali himself says, look at this, he says, لَقَدْ كُنْتُ أَمْسَى أَمِيرًا فَأَصْبَحْتُ الْيَوْمَ مَأْمُورًا. I was a chief yesterday, and today I am a subject. I was the king yesterday, and now I am a subject. People are ordering me around. So you are talking about Imam Ali had power? Friends, you will see power when the Imam will come back. You will know when the Imam will come back. He is going to come back and he is going to be powerful. And he's going to be dominant. Nothing is going to stand before him. No one would dare stand before. Anything that stands before him would be knocked down, annihilated. That's going to be power, and we have to get ready for an Imam that is powerful now. We have to be ready to accept that. Nowadays, anyone, for example, who talks about power, you're like, oh, this is terrible, and Imams are not like that. Imams were Muslim, and we shouldn't be looking for power, and we shouldn't be looking for rule, and we shouldn't be looking for this. What kind of thinking is that? Imams were Muslim. Yes, the Imams were Muslim. for many factors and reasons that is not a part of our speech. But Imam Zamana is not going to be Mazloom. He's not going to be a victim of injustice. He's not going to be someone who's going to be like in need. Friends, he is going to be powerful. The world will be in need of him. That is the Imam that we are expecting. And are we ready for him? We are against any alim, for example, who gets power. He says, oh, ulama shouldn't have anything to do with power. What are you talking about? That's exactly what they should be doing. That's why we are not prepared. And in order for us to prepare for the Imam, we need to have marifat of the Imam. And the marifat of the Imam is that he is going to be powerful and we are going to be right underneath him in his power. So we have to establish that power everywhere. We have to establish that power for the Imam everywhere. Not only his assets, but his power and influence over others. That is why a mu'min who is not shrewd and sharp, not quick-witted and clever, can understand the Imam. To know the Imam, you have to be sharp. You have to be perceptive. You have to be insightful, observant, discerning, intelligent, clever, knowing right from wrong right away. In other words, my friends, you have to be a politician. A Shia who's going to be the helper of the Imam will have the mind and the cleverness of a politician who cannot be fooled by anyone. Who cannot be fooled by anyone. He is going to be like that. Simple-minded people cannot have marifat of the Imam. They can't. Look in the hadith, it is so clear. You can't. You need to be smart enough to know this. I'll give you an example for you. There was a person who had done a grave crime and was given the capital punishment in the time of Rasulullah. He has done this crime and Rasulullah has condemned him to execution. So this person's relative, who is a Muslim and has some sort of relationship, friendly relationship with the Prophet, he says, what are you talking about? Let me take you to the Prophet and I will plead your case with the Prophet. So he came to the Prophet and pleaded the case to the Prophet. He pleaded his case to the Prophet and said, Rasulullah, I know he's done wrong and I know this and that. We go back a long way and, we go back a long way and, out of the friendship that I have and this and that. Please forgive him and I'll make sure that he doesn't do whatever it is. Rasulullah didn't say anything. He just turned away. He says, okay. He turned away. He just turned his face away. He didn't even want to see the person. So, seeing that as a sign that, everything's okay now, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here, everything's okay. Don't be around here to change any mind, Let something happens. So what happened is that the person and the criminal, he took the criminal out of there. Let's get out of here before anything else happens, right? And he was good. So he left out there, right? As soon as he left out there, Rasulullah turned towards the people who are sitting there. He turned towards the people who are sitting there. He says that, and he told them, when I sat silent here, why didn't any one of you say anything? This person is a criminal. I sat silent. Why didn't you say something? Why didn't you say that this guy is a criminal? Why don't you try to stand up for justice? And a lot of these times we need to understand that people who are not smart, they end up really not being able to have the true understanding of what's right and wrong and what's justice. A person who's smart would know when Allah says in the Quran, al-fitnatu ashaddu min al-qatl. That fitna and corruption is more severe than murder. It's more severe than murder. So what is the meaning of that? What does that mean? Question is about a simple-minded person. Who is a simple-minded person? Very simple, my friends. A simple-minded person is being mentioned a lot and I mentioned in one of the shows also about being stupid, right? And signs of stupidity. A simple-minded person is someone who has a tunnel vision, narrow-minded, just thinking in one term and is unable to see different sides and look through things and find out the deeper meaning of things. He sees the state, he doesn't see the deep state. And he's someone who looks into things, looks at facts, and he looks beyond the facts to see what is happening. Someone who is unable to do that is simple-minded. You'll know simple-minded people. They just, whatever they see, they believe. Whatever they hear, they believe. You tell them, oh, this person did this, and that's it. They believe it. They don't need any proof, witness, or argument, nothing. Just because it's a rumor, they believe it. And unfortunately, nowadays, you don't need proof to prove people have done wrong. You just need a rumor. Create a rumor and you will see that people are ready to believe in that rumor. Just make a rumor that this brother does haram. There's no need for proof. There's no need for court. There's no need for judge. That's it. People are ready to accept it. These are called simple-minded people. And it's easy to fool them. An example of that are the people who were with Aisha in the Battle of Jamal. They were told that anyone who has the dung, the camel dung from the camel of Aisha are going to be saved from the sword of Ali. So these people literally gathered behind the camel, waiting for it to throw down its feces. And they will fight for that feces so that they can put it in their pockets so that they don't get killed by Ali. This is called simple-minded people. This is how you fool them. And I'll talk about it later. We're out of time. We're out of time, but it's a good question. I'm going to get back to that question and we'll talk more about it later. Since we're out of time, I'm going to end it right over here. Thank you for joining us. This has been Divine Allegiance. Stay tuned for tomorrow also. We'll be on every day, Monday to Friday. We're on, so please stay with us. It is exciting to have you on our show. Do like us and do put a comment on on the video that you see, and encourage others to watch it also. It has been a pleasure. I'm your host, Maulana Baig. Until next time, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.